AITA for getting mad at my sister for coming to a family dinner with her baby? I, 32 meters, am engaged to Jessie, 30F. We have been together for 7 years and have been trying for a baby for the past 2. Originally I was planning to propose to her during a family dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. So I paid for 12 people to be there, including hers and mine families. I made the booking nearly 10 months ago. However, plans have changed and instead I have proposed during one of our holidays as the time felt more right. 2 months before the dinner we found out that Jessie is pregnant. I was beyond happy to hear that, so we have decided to use the dinner to announce the pregnancy instead, alongside with taking about wedding preparations. The place is rather high-end, so it has a strict dress code and set of rules to follow. Dinner was yesterday. My sister Emily decided to bring my nephew Kit with her, who is still breastfed and is currently teething. He is 6 months old. So instead of celebrating Jessie's pregnancy, a lot of people were feeling uncomfortable due to my nephew crying nearly constantly, and the owner of the restaurant at some point asked us to leave, since kids were not allowed and my nephew was disturbing other guests. I had no choice but to ask Emily to leave. She was hesitant at first. However, I have reminded her of the rules of the place, and in no way or form she contacted me to ask if it would be okay to bring Kit with her. She has tried to defend herself, saying he is young, but her boyfriend, who is also the father, could have stayed with Kit, since he finishes work at 4. I have also told Emily how disappointed I was with what she did, as she ruined the dinner by bringing Kit in the place not made for kids. Emily didn't like that and left. The rest of the dinner went okayish, but I could feel the tension. Later that night, my mum and my aunt wasn't present, as she lives quite far away and can't really travel. Both called me to tell that what I did was an asshole move, and Emily is now upset and I need to apologize. Jessie is upset too, but because she felt like everyone paid attention to Kit and were trying to calm him down, instead of congratulating us or discussing the wedding, what the dinner was about. So AITA? Edit. People seem to miss out that the meal took place in high-end restaurant that didn't allow children under 14, and which I have also paid for. The family members were sent a set of rules from he place alongside. They knew there would be an announcement. My future Bill and my other brother also have young children, which they didn't bring, and hired a babysitter, asked a friend to look after. So they were aware the place doesn't allow young children. NTA. I have kids. Some places are not kid-friendly. I don't take my kids there. If I thought there were some mitigating circumstances to consider, I would contact the organizer to check. For example, my best friend is getting married next year. I asked if the event was child-free, so I knew if I should arrange a babysitter or just to leave a little earlier, because the kids would get tired before the reception was over. She said it's child-free and was apologetic. I reassured her it was fine and asked my dad to take the kids. He agreed. No big deal. Not everything is about being a parent. And having a teething baby doesn't mean you have an excuse to force others to endure your child fussing in an adult-only space. I doubt she would try to take her baby clubbing with her just because she is breastfeeding. NTA. It's extremely rude to bring your child to places like that. NTA. You gave Emily the rules that no children were allowed, and she brought her baby anyway. That's just rude. If kids aren't allowed in the restaurant, legal? I dunno. And you told her this ahead of time. Then you are NTA. NTA. I understand her not wanting to leave a breastfed baby behind, as some babies on the boob refuse a bottle. However, she could have sat the dinner out. That happens when you have kids sometimes. There are just times and events that aren't appropriate to bring children to. It is what it is. and every parent has to make sacrifices. NTA. You sent her the rules that children under 14 weren't allowed. She ignored those rules. There are places that aren't suited for young children. This was one of them. You don't owe her an apology. In fact, she owes you one. NTA. She knew kids weren't allowed. She couldn't leave her small breastfed baby. She shouldn't have come. I've had a breastfed baby that wouldn't take a bottle at all and therefore wouldn't have gone to the restaurant. She spoiled it for the other diners. Not just for the family. She was told in advance that she wasn't to take kids there. Checked with her 2 months beforehand and she said she was coming. This is all on her. The restaurant told her she had to leave. This wasn't just She messed up. If she couldn't leave the baby, she should have stayed home. NTA. Unpopular opinion. But time and place. High-end restaurants are not for small children. As a former waitress in such an establishment, most staff do not appreciate it as there is a very particular ambiance. If the child is still being breastfed, she should have sat it out tbh. I know everyone thinks that their kids are the exception. Or they themselves are. But they're not. It's literally the same level move as someone bringing a screaming kid to a film. NTA. Just curious. What did they expect you to do? Fight the restaurant manager for your sister's right to set her own rules? Or, perhaps, lead a walkout, a la Norma Ray, loudly proclaiming that the restaurant was violating your nephew's right to express himself as loudly as he wished? I think you should push back on them until they come up with a workable solution or admit you handled the situation as best as you could. You said the owner asked her to leave. Why did you have to ask her to go also? Did she ignore him or her? The restaurant should have turned her away at the door. NTA. No children under 14 means no children under 14. NTA. Apologize for what? She needs to. Deliberately ignoring the rules and your requests is inexcusable. If she can't figure out childcare that is her responsibility, no one else should suffer for her poor planning. NTA. Don't apologize. She's the one that is wrong. Congrats on the wedding and the baby. NTA. The place didn't allow kids and your sister knew it. She didn't care about that and took the kid. Anyway, you were a good brother by not sending her home right away. However, the first 10 minutes with the kid crying, she should have gotten up and leave. There was no need for other people to ask her. If I am disturbing an event or a public place, I voluntarily leave. Other people don't have to deal with my or my kids' problems. I understand she is still breastfeeding, but she had options. Pump some milk and leave the kid with his father, babysitter, or just don't go to a place not kids friendly. NTA. I was ready to disagree until I saw Michelin. That is an expensive, rare experience that is not for children. NTA. Some places are not meant for kids. And this is a restaurant that is high-end. Took you months to get a reservation for. Was expensive, I bet, and you invited your families. The baby ruined it for everyone. Your sister should have known. And her BF should have kept the baby home. I would have been very pissed too. Reddit friends. Here is one of life's rules. When your child acts out, which inevitably they all do, you leave. Been there. Done that 1,000 times. Life does not revolve around your screaming child. Info. Why was she allowed entry to the restaurant with the baby when children under 14 aren't allowed in the first place? Info. If this place doesn't allow children, why was the child allowed to stay there for long enough to annoy other people? It's an expensive restaurant, so surely somebody was at the door where you would all be taken to be seated. They took her and her baby to be seated. If they have a no children rule, why did they seat her? If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doomscrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.